All right, so let me tell you a little bit about my looping rig. My looping rig. Looping. I play solo live looping shows with guitar, vocals, synths, and drum machines. And I built this live looping rig to give me access to a really wide range of sounds that I could get simultaneously, and really just to have the tools that I need to create live performances where all of the music is created in real time. I also use this rig quite a bit in the studio as a songwriting tool. In fact, most of my studio recordings start out with an idea that I created with this rig. So the core of my rig is this amazing software looper called Circular Labs Mobius. It's running as a plugin within Ableton Live on my old MacBook Pro. So audio from my guitar, vocals, and all Ableton Live tones are routed into the looper, and then everything's routed to the PA. I control Mobius, Ableton Live, and a variety of plugins with a bunch of MIDI controllers. With Mobius, you can have up to 8 separate tracks with several loops per track. And if you want, each track can be synced together and each loop can be synced together. Or not, it's completely customizable. That's what's so cool about it. There's a huge learning curve, but you can really tailor it to your specific needs. So let's start with this raised pedal board here. I've got my old MacBook running Ableton and Mobius. Down here is the PreSonus Fire Studio Project audio interface. This is where all the audio is entering the Mac. Off to the right is my headphone amp. And I most often play with headphones because a lot of my songs are synced to time-based effects, which requires me to play along to a click. So over here I have several radial DI boxes. Within Ableton I can set where the audio output gets routed to. Most often I just have the stereo output going through this main out right here. So up here I'm using an audix OM7 microphone. Now I use this particular microphone because it has really good feedback rejection, which is essential if you're trying to loop vocals live. The vocal audio is then routed into this TC Helicon Voice Tone Correct XT. I use it primarily for additional feedback rejection and a little bit of vocal tone shaping. Over here, I'm using one of my Strymon timeline delays in an effects send for vocal and synth processing. Timeline is synced to Ableton Live MIDI clock, and that ensures that all the delays are in time with the tempo of each song. Next up is the Korg Nano Control 2. This gets used as a mixer for Ableton, and I use it also for quick muting and unmuting of tracks. Now up here is, I actually had to look this up online because I couldn't remember what it was called. It's a MIDI Plus Garage Key 37-note keyboard. I found this on Amazon, I think it was like 40 bucks. It's not very roadworthy, but it's super compact. It has no unnecessary switches or sliders, just 37 keys and an octave control on the back. I think it was discontinued because it's not that good, but I've grown to like it. And back here is a Korg Nano Key 2, which I'm using to control the Isotope Stutter Edit plugin. And that allows me to mangle and chop up my audio. Chop up. And then lastly here is an Ableton push. I'm certainly not a push power user. I primarily use it to program drum beats in real time and to occasionally control synth sounds. That's it, but you really can do a whole lot more with this thing. Okay, so next up is my floor pedal board. I won't get into everything on this pedal board in this video. I'll do a separate video that goes into these pedals in a little bit more detail. So the Keith McMillan Soft Step 2, I have set up to control 10 looping and performance functions: record, overdub, undo, multiply, mute, loop 1, loop 2, loop 3, loop 4, and then I have a button to mute and unmute the drums. One important element of this board is this Strymon amp in a box prototype that I have. Now, some of you know that I'm the marketing guy and a product designer at Strymon, and we designed these to be used on our demo boards at our customer invite parties. It has built-in speaker cab simulation, which allows me to go into a full range PA instead of a guitar amp. The timeline down here is also synced up to Ableton Live, so the guitar delays will sync up with the song tempo as well. So let's get back to Mobius. Each instrument input gets routed into Ableton Live, and then each signal is sent to both the house PA output and to the Mobius Looper plugin. So I have input monitoring on the plugin turned off so you don't get any doubling or phasing. The guitar is sent to track 1 of Mobius Looper, the vocals are sent to track 2, and then I have the Ableton Wurlitzer sound sent to track 3. The separate tracks within Mobius allow me to record and loop each instrument separately, and then to have control over where each individual looped signal gets sent. I set up Mobius to be able to record 4 separate loops per track input. So that's critical for me in being able to record multiple song sections, like intro, verse, chorus, bridge. I also have them set up to be synchronized with each other. So when I press play on loop 1, each track will start playing simultaneously. So you can see that when I cycle through the loops, they're all synced together. I have this all synced up to Ableton Live's tempo, so that allows the synchronization of a drum machine or other MIDI events such as stutter edit. Mobius can behave in a bunch of different ways depending on how you have it set up. For instance, I prefer to have the switch quantize parameter set to loop, and what that means is when I hit a switch to give Mobius a command, it will wait to the beginning of the loop to carry out that command. So that's pretty useful when, for example, you want to create a new loop, but you want to wait until the currently playing loop is finished before recording that new loop. So Mobius gives you a ton of flexibility and customization, even down to what buttons you see on the screen and the display here. Now this setup works for me, but it's so customizable that you'll probably find something completely different that works for you. And really, there are tons of features in this thing that I haven't even experimented with yet. This thing is really deep. All right, I'll give you a quick rundown of how it operates. This rig is ridiculously complicated, but it's an insanely fun rig for live performances, and it's really kind of just like an instant song generator, so that's why I dig it so much. So thanks for checking out my live looping rig. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask them in the comments below. See you later.